Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. Um, Thanks for watching my videos. This week I'll be reviewing Married at First Sight, season 12, episode 10. Um, Episode 10. There were a lot of questions I think that were left unanswered, and I think there were a lot of sort of suggestions that things, in my opinion, were worse than what they appeared. Anyway, we'll review the couples. I'll review the couples as I normally do. So I'll start off with Haley and Jacob. I've said this before, and I'm going to repeat it. There's something not right about that match between Haley and Jacob. Jacob is still putting in a lot more work than Haley is, and I think Haley has decided to use tears to get sympathy from people because she sort of, when Dr. Viviana came round, she hinted that she's been putting in a lot more effort than what Jacob has been doing, and having watched previous episodes, Jacob is the one who's initiating conversation. Jacob is the one who's trying to get an understanding of exactly what she's looking for in a relationship. She hinted she's done a lot, and the producers were a bit shady because they showed that the two things she's done is she's bought him some clothing, which they showed, and she, sorry, I've forgotten the second item. She hasn't really done anything that comes to mind really. She's barely putting in effort, and I think Dr. Viviana tried to sort of probe a bit more because she was asking, is it the 80s thing that you don't like? Is it, is there something in particular that you don't like? And oh, when I walked down the aisle, it wasn't anything. I think, in my opinion, I think Haley expected maybe to see, a young, good-looking guy, maybe someone like Zach, and she wasn't happy with the image that, the person she met at the altar. And so by her sort of being disappointed with Jacob's appearance, it just completely turned her off, and she just ended up going through the motion. And I think at the moment, although her mouth is saying that she's putting in effort, physically she's just going through the motion, and psychologically I think she's turned off, and she's just waiting for decision day. And Jacob is sort of trying to make, is still trying to make an effort. He's trying to initiate intimacy. Dr. Viviana tried to sort of get them to go into the bedroom and try to sort of initiate things that they could do to try and bring them closer. And it was sad to hear Jacob saying, oh, at least we're back in the same room. And so these people have been married, and obviously it seems like they've been sleeping in separate rooms since the fallout. They haven't gone back into the same room. And he sort of tried to initiate a kiss or holding hands, and she turned him down, and he said, oh, at least we're in the same room. And you can see he's really desperate for things to work. And Haley is just saying she is trying, but she's not trying. I think she's just waiting for decision day, and it's very sad that she's wasted an opportunity that could have been taken up by somebody, because somebody could have been, could have been matched with Jacob and could have appreciated Jacob, because outside of the 80s and his fascination with food and the fact that he's very socially awkward in the sense that at times he tends to go on about things that turn other people off, and he doesn't pick up that they've turned people off, whereas somebody else would pick up on it and switch conversations and switch topics. He continues to carry on his train of thought, and he doesn't seem to realize that everybody else is switched off. So it's really sad. I think Haley and Chris wasted an opportunity that could have been taken up by somebody else. And this is why last week I said maybe Jacob should have been matched with Paige, because they're both desperate to get married. But sadly, they've been matched with people who are very superficial and seem to care more about themselves than the partner. And Haley is going to struggle unless she changes her way of thinking or her behavior or her attitude. She's going to struggle to find someone who will want to settle down with her permanently, unless it's with someone who's of the same mindset, someone who doesn't care, if she doesn't put in any effort, somebody who's more focused on themselves than they are their partner. So I don't know, to each their own. Hopefully things change, but I don't see them changing. I think it's a foregone conclusion that Haley and Jacob are going to divorce, and I feel really sorry for Jacob because he really, really appears to have wanted to get married, and sadly he's been matched with someone who doesn't want to get married, and it's very sad, really. Anyway, we move on to Brianna and Vincent. Oh, Brianna and Vincent are the highlight of the episode. They seem to be getting along very well. They seem to be, building this sort of relationship whereby they're in their own little bubble. They don't care about anything else going on around them. They're just there to just make each other happy. And last week I said this, and Vincent actually said what I said, which made me happy. Yay! He actually said that, his frustration comes from the fact that he's trying to put his best foot forward. And at times it doesn't come across that way. And when it doesn't, he gets frustrated because I think he's more upset with himself than he is with Brianna, because he's trying to impress this young lady and he's trying to put his best foot forward. That way she doesn't decide on decision day. Because I think for him, this relationship to him, or this marriage to him, is something that he sees lasting a lifetime. And so by so doing, he doesn't want to do anything that will turn her off. And that's why he said, last week I was very upset about my shirt when they were talking to Dr. Viviana. Oh, I wasn't, able to get the steps, and I was trying to put my best foot forward and my shirt was very tight. So you could see he was really trying to impress her. And I think they have grown, because Brianna, instead of sort of picking at what he was saying, she was just saying she appreciated the fact that at least he was trying. And it's a great contrast when you look at couples like that, because then you see when marriage at first sight is done the right way and when it's not done the right way. Because there are two people who went into this wanting to get married, found their ideal match, and are putting in the work to make sure this relationship succeeds. And so I'm so happy for them. They were, Dr. Viviana was able to speak to them, was able to address some of their concerns, because I think people are very anxious. I am not anxious about Vincent's temper. Everybody is bound to get upset from time to time. I don't really think his temper is that much of an issue, but then we haven't really seen him blow up, so we don't know how bad it gets. But I think the fact that he cares so much about Brianna and is making sure that he's able to compromise and make her feel comfortable and make her feel happy and make her feel loved. I think there's nothing more you could want from a partner. And the same goes for Brianna. She's trying to learn his language. She's trying to do everything to make sure she and you can tell that I think it's been a long time. I don't think we've seen a couple like Brianna and Vincent. I know we've seen couples that have gelled very well, Woody and Amani, Christina and Keith, but I think we haven't seen anything like Brianna and Vincent. There is a sort of a cuteness to them, something that's adorable, something that you like, and you sort of have this warm feeling when you watch them. And I really have high hopes for them, because in my opinion they are going to be one of Married at First Sight, I think, most perfect match. People might disagree with me. They might have their own. I'm not saying other couples are not great matches, but what I'm saying is when you look at them, like Dion and Greg had a lot of issues at the start, but eventually were able to work through them. Miles and Karen had issues. They had to work through them. Jamie and Doug had issues, and so most of the other couples have had to work through their issues. Or if you look at Ashley and Anthony, or Bobby and Daniela, the guys had to sort of compromise. So they had to take a step back and just let the ladies get their own way, until eventually when they got onto Happily Ever After, that's when they were sort of, the experts were able to work with them and make sure that the boys did not sort of lose themselves trying to accommodate their partners. So in my opinion, Brianna and Vincent are Married at First Sight's best match to date. Yes, there are other matches like Woody and Amani, Keith and Christine, Danielle and Bobby, Anthony and Ashley. But if you actually look at it, there's something about those two that's totally different from any other matches that they've matched in all 12 seasons. So I have high hopes for them. They did play a game. It was very cute, and you really get a warm feeling when you watch them, because you're so happy for them and you're so wanting this to work for them. So I really have high hopes. I think it's a foregone conclusion that decision day they're going to decide to stay married, and I don't know what could come up that would make them change their minds, because I I think they're going to, decide to stay together, and they're going to stay together like most of the other couples, and, have a long and happy marriage. I'm so happy for them. From there, we go to Eric and Virginia. Eric and Virginia, I think with Eric and Virginia, this episode, I don't remember seeing Virginia drink, which was good for her because she was able, which shows that it could be she was just drinking initially, maybe because she was just trying to calm her nerves, or she was very anxious and stuff. Anyway, they do meet with Dr. Viviana. They have a conversation. I think the editing was done in a way that was provocative. In the sense, when I say provocative, is it left questions unanswered, sort of either for ratings or to sort of get people excited and get people talking, because I don't see why they didn't go more into what the differences were. They said social issues. What do they mean by social issues? I know for a fact Eric has raised concerns about Virginia's drinking, about Virginia's male friends, and he's also mentioned on this episode that he is concerned that she might not want children. And so outside of that, I don't know what else. And they did Eric a great disservice by not clarifying what the differences were, because then people started coming up with suggestions of what the differences might be, and some of them are not the best labels for someone to carry, especially if it's not true. So I hope at some point the producers are going to actually go show us scenes whereby Eric and Virginia actually have a conversation, and we're able to understand exactly what the differences are. Otherwise, people was talking about his party affiliation, or it's I think it was very bad of them, because I know Eric and Virginia have problems like the three things that I've mentioned, but I don't think it's as bad as it was made to seem. And I think the producers are editing in a way to seem like the couples have more problems than they actually do, just because they're after either the drama effect or the ratings. So I hope they do provide clarity, because otherwise they did Eric a great disservice by not clarifying exactly what they meant about the differences. From them, we move on to Ryan and Clara. Oh, Ryan and Clara. I like Ryan and Clara. I know people have said no, they're not good. Ryan and Clara are going to last, in my opinion. They're going to last. And I think Ryan and Clara have done the most work out of all the five couples. They've really worked on their relationship. They've really worked on their differences and continue to put in the work. Because if you look at the issues that they bring up, for example, they met with Dr. Viviana, and their only concern that came up was the fact that the intimacy issue. And that was Clara's only issue. It was the intimacy issue. Because Ryan said, Clara is the sort of girl he would have dated had it not been for the experiment. So, which means he is happy with his match. And I think in discussing the intimacy issue, something that came up that I didn't hear probed on is the fact that Ryan associates sex with having an emotional connection to it, whereas Clara is just used to doing it just for the sake of doing it. And I don't know whether Dr. Viviana actually had the conversation and it wasn't shown, but I think, considering the issues that the other couples have, if this is the only issue they have, and if they do get to do it, then they're golden. Because everything else they've been able to work on, everything else they've been able to sort of gain an understanding and a compromise and sort of a clarity on whatever their issues have been. And it seems at the moment their only two issues are he has never told anybody he loves her, and the fact that she wants to be more intimate than they are. And so once they get through that, I don't see what other problems may arise, unless the producers decide, just for the sake of ratings or drama, to suddenly start, some crap up. But otherwise, they're doing very well. I know there was this issue of whether Ryan is a virgin or not, and I love the fact that Clara was able to sort of get rid of that label. And this is where you see that she really cares about Ryan, because as soon as Dr. Viviana brought it up, she quickly said, no, that's not it. No, he's definitely not it. No, that. And I was like, yay, good for you. You know, protect your man, protect your, your partner. And so I'm happy for them. I know people have doubts, but in my opinion, they're going to work. They're going to work. They don't have that many problems as compared to other couples. They seem to get along great. They want to be next to each other. They're not like other couples like Haley and Jacob, where they're being forced to sit next to each other. They want to sit next to each other. They want to hold hands. Their only issue is, I think Ryan is waiting for the emotional connection, and Clara just wants to bulldoze. And I think if she takes, I've said this before, if she takes a step back and just takes a nice deep breath, she's going to appreciate when it happens, because it's going to mean something to her. And I bet you when it does happen, he's going to tell her he loves her. So I can't wait for that. I'm so happy for them. Then we move on to, I always finish with this couple. Chris and Paige. Chris and Paige. I said last week, Chris is only back with Paige just because his ex-fiance told him she doesn't want to work things out with him. Because in my opinion, that's the reason why he's back. It's either that, or he's been told he has to pay a fine because the divorce is of his doing. It has nothing to do with Paige. And so instead of paying the fine, he's decided to play along with the marriage. And in playing along the marriage, he's dragging this poor girl. And I love the fact that Dr. Viviana actually told her that you don't need to stay in this marriage. No one can pull you out, but you don't need to stay in this marriage. And Paige continues to use God and the fact that there is a plan for her. And I think this is what sort of at times turns people off from people of faith, because they put a lot of emphasis on their faith and stop making sound judgments. Just because Chris is not living with her, he's not picking up her calls. They're doing things at his pace, and he's making these statements that are upsetting and distressing. And I don't know why. She's been given the opportunity, according to Pastor Carl, in an interview that I saw online. Apparently, she was given the opportunity to file for a divorce, and she refused because she said God had a plan and she wanted to follow through on the plan. She insists that when she made her vows, she meant them. But something can only work if the two of you are willing to work. Chris is not willing to work on this marriage. Chris is just dragging time until they get to decision day. From what we've heard, she asked him to call her regularly. He doesn't want to call her. He wants to meet her up. He wants to meet with her. He'd rather meet with her face to face. Why do you want to meet with her face to face? So they're now friends. They're now coming up with this contract of what they want to do. They're coming up with a schedule like little kids, like, you're babysitting each other. And it doesn't make sense to me. I don't know. Obviously, we can only look from the outside, but I really wish, I said this like last week, I really wish they would show us Paige with her family members, because her family members must have an opinion of what's going on, unless she's not telling them exactly what's going on. But somebody must have an opinion of how Chris has been treating her, and they must have an opinion now that they're watching of how she comes across. And so it's really he said, he wanted them to meet up. They made an arrangement for him to bring food. He brought food. He wanted Bible study, and he tells her to do. So it's more or less he's there so that she puts in the work, because she's the one who says the prayers. She's the one who did the Bible study stuff. He was just there. He wasn't even participating. So what is the point? And then he has the nerve to try and preach to the audience about love. And it's like, seriously, dude, we're watching you. What are you preaching to us? What have you shown that that could in any way convince us that you understand the meaning of love? I get frustrated every time I talk about Chris, because I really wish at times, as Dr. Viviana said, they can't force her, but at times you wish they would just, say, okay, we're granting you a divorce. The two of you need to divorce because this is not doing anyone any good, because it's really creating a bad image of marriage and a bad picture of marriage and showing the darker side of marriage, the things that people go through. And given some of the worst husbands on Married at First Sight, Chris has taken the cake for me. He took the cake. He took the title of worst husband, I think 3 episodes ago, and everybody was saying, no, he's the same as Brandon was way better. Yes, Brandon had issues with Taylor, but his issues came out when he was provoked. He didn't have issues with her all the time unless he was provoked. And so I don't know why Chris appears to get pleasure from making this poor young lady miserable. And then he has the nerve to he tells her you're number one priority. Then no, I want to work things with my ex-fiance. No, let's start afresh. Let's press reset. And then he comes up and says, oh, I bought my ex, her car broke down. She had an accident. She hasn't had a car. So I bought her a brand new Mercedes-Benz. And it's like, if you're in a marriage, yes, you say you're earning more, but if you're in a marriage, why would you not let your wife know that this is what you're thinking of doing? His wife is a very educated person. She's an accountant. She understands numbers. Why not have a conversation with her about his plans? I don't get it. Maybe it's just me. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, and comment. And we'll see you next time. Thanks, guys. Bye.